Tonight on Win, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Then at 8:30, Space Adventure with Star Trek Voyager, followed by Central Park West.
Tonight, attempted murder charge for samurai sword attack. Toowoomba bacon jobs under review. And QRL moves to poach matches from Athletic Oval.
Win News with Craig Campbell.
Good evening. In a Toowoomba committal hearing today, the court has been told a woman allegedly attacked her former housemate with a samurai sword because of a dispute over an alleged break-in. 24-year-old Charmaine Griffin has been charged with attempted murder and a number of other offences.
Charmaine Griffin first appeared in court last October after allegedly attacking a man with a samurai sword. She appeared in the Toowoomba Magistrates Court today for the second part of a committal hearing, facing charges of attempted murder, unlawful wounding, enter with intent, aggravated assault and willful damage. It's alleged Griffin attacked former housemate Sterling Campbell with the sword. Witnesses testifying the attack came after a dispute over Griffin's car, as well as an alleged break-in at Griffin's home, which she accused Campbell of committing. One witness said, "Through the glass doors I could see Charmaine with the samurai sword. She was just waving the knife around, more or less in front of his face." Meanwhile, two youths charged with assaulting another youth at Harristown High School have been remanded to reappear for a hearing in June. The two 17-year-olds allegedly attacked the boy after a round of night fixture basketball games at the school. The court was told the boy was knocked out and suffered minor head and facial injuries. Bernadette Young, Win News.
Jobs at Darling Downs Bacon Co-op may come under the knife as management considers the use of other abattoirs, including Warwick's future Danpork operation. There are 35 slaughtering jobs at Darling Downs Bacon. Chairman Bruce Green says the company is keeping its options open.
While construction is yet to begin on the proposed multi-million-dollar Danpork piggery, if established, it could provide an alternative to Darling Downs Bacon's Toowoomba slaughtering operations.
Their plans are for a fairly large slaughter establishment, and we need to keep our options open. And if a large scale abattoir can offer the cooperative significant advantages, we'll have to have a look at that.
Mr Green says management is yet to see details of Danpork's operations. He says there have been indications another abattoir might be established, though it's not clear where. Mr Green says the company might yet upgrade its Toowoomba slaughtering site to stay competitive.
I can't rule out doing the same sort of process with somebody else, and I also can't rule out upgrading our own facility to get the sorts of reduced costs that are needed in the industry.
On the question of Canadian pig meat imports, Mr Green says he's met with the new Federal Primary Industries Minister, John Anderson. Mr Anderson gave little ground.
Certainly the governments are committed to open and free trade. We are exposed to international pressures and we just have to cut the mustard.
Mr Green says Darling Downs Bacon will soon branch out into other processed foods besides its traditional pig meat products, following a joint venture with American company Hormel. The company will be called KR Hormel Foods. Christina Ferris, Win News.
The capital punishment debate has flared in response to Tasmania's Port Arthur massacre. Many, upset by the violence, believe the man responsible should die too, but a local solicitor has warned against making rash decisions.
The rampage in Port Arthur has left 34 dead and countless physically and psychologically scarred. It's been described as the worst peacetime massacre in history. And out on the streets today, the community was in support of reintroducing the death penalty.
After what happened down there, I think the bloke, he should be dealt with severely.
Why should we keep a killer in jail? We're supporting him in there, and then when he's taken other people's lives.
Going back when the death penalty was in, there was a lot less murders and a lot less killing because there was a deterrent there.
That's a predictable and understandable response, says local solicitor Patrick Mallett, but not the answer.
People in this situation who commit this sort of violent crime aren't deterred by penalties. You know, the simple fact of the matter is that this person was criminally mad, and the tragedy is that the introduction of the death penalty will not do anything whatsoever to deter people like this.
Former Confederate Action Party spokesperson Tony Green-McCosker sees things differently, saying when it comes to murder, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
I think it's fair and just. If the reasons for committing the murder are properly sifted through, and it's found that it was cold-blooded, well, I don't think there's any other way out.
She's also in favour of gun laws as they stand, although she agrees the alleged killer's mental condition should have prevented him obtaining a weapon.
Instead of crying out for the death penalty, which has been shown to be an abysmal failure, what they have to do is say we cannot let lunatics, unbalanced people, hardcore criminals have access to weaponry.
While the government has pledged to tighten gun control laws, it remains to be seen whether the punishments imposed for violent crimes will change at all. Michael Davey, Win News.
Residents around Toowoomba's Clifford Gardens are sick and tired of putting up with a parade of parked cars at their front gate. Streets around the shopping centre are clogged on a daily basis, council stepping in to try and solve the problem.
Ever since Stage 2 of Clifford Gardens Shopping Centre came online, residents around the site say their lives have changed for the worse. Every morning, scores of vehicles line the streets and many don't leave until sundown.
We can't get in any of our driveways. People can't come and visit because there's nowhere to park. I don't think it's fair.
Debbie Ludwig is one of a frustrated group of residents who's had enough of dodging traffic and having officials dodge the problem.
They were parked on both sides. I nearly got collected and I rang them and I'm still waiting for a return call from that.
Mrs Ludwig says Clifford Gardens Centre management told her most of the vehicles are staff cars and they're not allowed to park in the car park. For security reasons, they park as close to the centre as possible, but in the process make others' lives a nightmare.
The lady across the road, her son takes epileptic fits. She's had, many cars parked in her driveway. If he'd had a turn, he would have been... There's no way an ambulance would have got there. Ladies on the other side, they can't get their lawn mowed, they can't get their carpets cleaned.
Centre management declined to comment today, saying it was too premature to make a public statement.
Management staff and council representatives were due to meet with residents late this afternoon, weather permitting.
When they planned Stage 2, they should have thought of the staff, not just public parking. I mean, they've always parked here holidays, which we've accepted, but full-time, it's just not right.
Paul Stone, Win News.
A select group of Darling Downs students can now lay claim to being part of a world-beating vocational training program. The TRACK scheme, which operates around Australia, has won international award for teaching skills in life and work.
At their graduation last year, these students were no doubt unaware of the international credentials they had gained as part of the TRACK Training in Retail and Commerce scheme. From its humble beginnings in Newcastle 6 years ago, TRACK has gone on to place nearly 2,000 Australian students in retail and commerce positions as part of a skills-based school program. It's just been awarded a global award for the best mix of school education and business training.
So that the school group as such was offering the students a vocational training program, and at the same time the business people were in charge of what the program was.
The Australian program, which also operates in Toowoomba, Oakey, Gatton and Clifton, staved off international competition from 41 other programs, the Australian results speaking for themselves.
TRACK students are twice as likely to get a job when they complete school than a normal school graduate, and the unemployment rate of students, those involved in the TRACK program, something like 93% actually go on to either further training or employment.
That success has endeared TRACK to education authorities. Even Toowoomba private schools are considering participation in the program, which will soon have its own place in the state school system.
TRACK's now been incorporated into the new board trial subjects for next year as a mainstream education Queensland-wide. So any school in the whole of Queensland will be able to pick up the TRACK program through the new board subjects.
Kirsty Bozeman, Win News.
Grain growers leader Ian McFarlane says if sufficient rain comes, record international wheat prices could see some farmers recoup years of losses in 2 seasons. However, concerns remain that provisional tax will see some growers heavily slugged.
Ian McFarlane says the good news on American markets for wheat prices gives Australian farmers the potential to recoup financial losses after 5 years of drought.
Could quite easily see if we had 2 good seasons in a row, farmers recover from the 5 or 6 years of drought.
According to Australian wheat pool predictions, if farmers harvested standard varieties tomorrow, they'd recoup $240 per tonne. Last April, they'd have received $165, the year before $150. While the prices bring optimism, Australian harvests are months away and there must be sufficient rain.
We have an enormous potential to make money out of grain at the moment, and I guess it couldn't have come at a better time for Queensland farmers, but obviously the first thing is to get that rain, get the crop in.
But even if the rain comes, those farmers with large debts but minimal losses could be hit with high provisional taxes, in turn affecting loan repayments. Queensland Grain Growers Vice President David Alexander says the worst scenario is a slug of 92 cents in the dollar for those who harvest large crops. Toowoomba-based Defiance Milling Company says past wheat price increases have lifted bread prices. Defiance admits this could happen again, but
Magnetic Island Action Group is furious at what they claim is the state government's lack of action on ferry price rises. The group was to march through Townsville to the new office of the Premier. Organisers promised the protest is only postponed and will go ahead. After gloomy forecasts, there'd be no substantial rain in Townsville until next summer. The heavens have unexpectedly opened. But the Weather Bureau is warning people not to get excited.
Please consider the new Mitsubishi Magna. For a frozen pizza to be this perfect, it must be a miracle. McCain Pizza Perfection. Ah, McCain, it's a miracle again.
It's a classic Mother's Day at Clifford Gardens. Colorado Bags has assorted beauty cases $25 and $29 with a free makeup bag. New Futura leather bags and wallets with a free leather keyring, and Monaco two-tone bags just $59.95, also with a free keyring. At the Givney Collection, they're celebrating Mother's Day with a whopping 30% off the fabulous range of Givney Collection accessories.
Hello, Heather Ford in the National 9 newsroom. Tonight at 6:30, dramatic pictures of the arrest of Martin Bryant, the man charged over the Port Arthur massacre. And Queensland's power supplies safe for next summer. That's at 6:30, straight after Win News. We'll see you then.
Welcome back to Win's Local News. Toowoomba today farewelled one of the Western Downs' best-known cattlemen and widely respected gentlemen. William David Harpham was known the length and breadth of the cattle industry. Hundreds turned out this morning to pay their final respects.
William David Swanston Harpham leaves behind a large extended family and a lengthy list of Queenslanders who called the former Miles grazier friend.
Well, he was a wonderful friend. He was a terribly honourable man and a very competent man. He had a brain that picked up things very quickly. And one of the things that he said to me once when I went to see him over a problem that I had when I was president of Marinara Graziers, I said, really, this is not one of your problems. He said, Bill, we're all in this together, and I've never forgotten that.
Known publicly as a champion of the cattle industry cause, Mr Harpham served as president of the South Eastern Queensland Graziers Association and from 1980 as president of the UGA, as well as the Australian Meat and Livestock Corporation. The foresight of one of the state's first true agri-politicians, still revered today.
Very influential in the industry, very efficient in his own business, and I think has played the industry a great service in those years.
Hard-working years during which he and wife Peggy also educated a family of 5 sons.
Father's outstanding achievements in public life was recognised in '86 by the Government of the day. He received the CBE. A subsequent recognition was the bestowing of life membership by the UGA.
The crowded aisles in St James testimony today to the giving but determined fashion in which Mr Harpham lived his 80 years.
He had the courage of his convictions, and if David thought he was right, he stuck to it, and it took a strong opposition to convince him to change his mind.
An outstanding man, a wonderful loving husband, a great father. Goodbye, good friend, we are with you.
Kirsty Bozeman, Win News.
The partnership between schools, parents and communities is the focus of an education celebration on the Downs this week. Education Week is an annual event during which schools celebrate their achievements. Toowoomba State High School getting into the spirit of things and throwing its doors open wide.
The theme for Education Week is Partners for Excellence. Grade 12 students from Toowoomba State High School teaming up with 130 primary school students from around the Downs to introduce them to the more interesting aspects of high school, like heart and lung dissections in biology class.
All we're doing is educating students with a global whole picture of what education is about, and education isn't just in the classroom, it's actually outside of the classroom and all of our life experiences. So it's just making them aware of that, contact with the community, to be familiar with them, to not be afraid of them, to see that they're a support mechanism and a way in which can help them extend their lifestyle and their education.
Another group from the high school took a trip to Milo Retirement Village and spent the morning trading painting tips with Toowoomba's senior citizens. It's all part of a push to extend the interaction between community and schools.
For the students particularly, to let them know that the school is really wants to show how good we are. We want the students to see that what they're doing is a good thing, that their education is worthwhile, and we want them to be proud of their education, proud of what they do within our school, and to show that to the rest of the community.
Community interaction activities will continue at Darling Downs schools throughout the week. Michael Davey, Win News.
The days of horse-drawn buggy have been relived at John Darien with the staging of the Queensland Combined Driving Championships. It's a little-known aspect of horse sports, but has all the drama, competition and skill of its more recognised stablemates.
In 1971, a group of harness enthusiasts banded together to form the Australian Driving Society, and so the sport of combined driving was born. The Society's patron is the Duke of Edinburgh, who was instrumental in setting up the sport in the mother country. At the John Darien Woolshed on the weekend, competitors from across the region tackled the 3 main disciplines of the sport: presentation, dressage and the exciting marathon. It's here that the drivers' skills are put to the ultimate test. Guiding their animals through a series of obstacles at varying speeds, the gates must be negotiated in the correct order or points are deducted.
Get on! Get on! Get on! Get on! Get on!
Major winners from the weekend were Natalie Burrows and Cassandra Nee for the single and multiple concourse d'elegance, Wendy Wilkes and local favourite Keith Houghton for the open horse. Paul Stone, Win News.
To business news, and the Bank of Queensland is up $5 to $5.20. David's is up $6 to $1.96. CSR up $4 to $4.59. Not a lot of movement in the All Ords or the gold. Now with tonight's sport, Jason Costigan.
Thanks, Craig. Good evening, everyone. Coming up in sport tonight, the QRL moves to transfer Clydesdale's games to Suncorp Stadium. Their new signings give the Mountaineers the best scoring power in more than 2 years.
Get ready for Super Tuesday.
Surprise!
Mother. Lois.
Oh, boy. For better and for worse, it's family bonding time.
Princess. Daddy.
Ellen.
Sam.
Oh, boy. 7:30 tonight, Lois and Clark. And at 8:30, Beyond Imagination.
There is a civilization down there, Captain.
Beyond Fantasy.
Just course to investigate.
Beyond Adventure.
Take us into orbit.
The all-new Star Trek Voyager. And at 9:30, more scheming, more scandal.
You're going to do exactly as I say.
Central Park West is back tonight on Win.
That boat's been sitting there for years. He'll never sell it.
Okay, here's your receipt. See ya.
Well, there's no way I'm having children. Look at them.
Oh, no. I'm not the marrying kind.
If your life changes direction, all Suncorp home loans are flexible. So wherever you're coming from, you'll still make it home sooner.
The problem with most winter sales is that they happen at the end of winter, but not at Fossey's. Right now, you can save 40% off selected men's, ladies' and children's fashions. Don't freeze this winter. Get 40% off selected winter family fashion now.
Nice and easy does it every time.
Do you know the easiest way to get gas for your home?
Gee, what is it?
It's L-Gas. L-Gas can make life easier for businesses too.
Gee, that's good.
Best of all, their friendly, professional staff are just a phone call away. So call L-Gas on 131 161.
Nice and easy does it.
Because life's easier with L-Gas.
Welcome back, you're watching Win Sport. Despite sitting atop the Queensland Cup ladder, the Toowoomba Clydesdales are facing the loss of home games to Brisbane due to poor crowd attendances. The Queensland Rugby League has already made moves to transfer next week's match against Brothers from the Athletic Oval to Suncorp Stadium.
Saturday night's 26-4 drubbing of Brisbane club Norths has pushed the Clydesdales to the top of the Queensland Cup ladder after just 5 rounds.
Well, I think we were always looking to be competitive, but yes, we never thought we'd be where we are at the present time, but it's still a long way yet to go.
Toowoomba opened its account against Central Queensland, holding out from a Capra's second-half drive to win by 28-24. The next week, they played their first away game, losing to Brisbane East by 14 points. But in their next outing, the Clydesdales struck back in their first international match, displaying enormous scoring power to overcome the Port Moresby Vipers by 40. Ipswich became Toowoomba's second big scoring match, devastating the Jets 46-2. Despite the Clydesdales' on-field success, crowd attendances at the Athletic Oval have been disappointing. Already, the QRL has made moves to transfer the top-of-the-table clash against Brothers to Suncorp Stadium. Toowoomba's future in the competition relies on financial as well as playing success.
We'll be losing games from the Downs area and they'll be transferred to Brisbane because at the present time, you know, the gates haven't been very good, and if we don't start getting the crowds through, we won't have a team here in 1997.
Peter O'Dempsey, WE News.
Now to basketball news, and the Mountaineers are hoping to break their 4-game losing streak thanks to last week's prize signings. Mike Brown and Pop Dickerson scored more than half of Toowoomba's weekend points, adding more firepower to the Mountaineers lineup than they've had in more than 2 years.
Mike Brown last played for the Mountaineers 2 years ago. Since then, he's taken to the courts in the United States and Mexico. He returned this year not for the money, but to enjoy the lifestyle Toowoomba has to offer. Brown has brought with him an added bonus, Pop Dickerson, talking his former teammate into an on-court reunion.
Yeah, we play good together. You know, Pop and I, we enjoy playing with each other. He looks for me, I look for him. You know, it's kind of like instincts out there.
Those instincts were at their sharpest in the weekend's match against the Spartans, the pair combining to score more than half of Toowoomba's points, Brown with a personal tally of 37.
I took some extra shots during the week. I've been working on my conditioning, and Dave runs a couple of plays for me, you know, during the offense. So, yeah, I was very happy with that.
Toowoomba has been forced to play a defensive game for the past 2 years because of a lack of scoring power. The 2 new signings will remedy the Mountaineers' weaknesses and embellish what Brown sees as an already strong base of young talent.
I've been gone about 2 years, and from then to now, I mean, they've improved dramatically. You know, they're coming on and they're really helping out, and they understand the game a lot better. I think that's partly due to Dave Tolman.
Peter O'Dempsey, Win News.
Toowoomba St Albans Soccer Club has moved to 4th place on Brisbane's 2nd Division ladder after Sunday's win over St Helens. St Albans scored 2 goals in the opening 15 minutes, St Helens registering a consolation goal in the dying seconds.
Over the past week, St Albans have suffered a form slump but seem to be back on track after victories on Anzac Day and on Sunday. The Toowoomba side opened the scoring in the first 5 minutes, Chris McLeod finding the post from a penalty shot and Craig McConnell finishing the job. The home side pressured for the next 5 minutes before McConnell again successful for St Albans to take a 2-0 lead into the break. They again dominated the second half, snaring the majority of field position but unable to convert attacking opportunities. The visitors from Ipswich registered their only goal in the final minutes, St Albans winning 2-1. Meanwhile, Toowoomba Juniors enjoyed their own success on Saturday. It was the finals of Toowoomba's own World Cup, more than 1,500 players fighting for the imaginary title. It was a first for many of them for another reason: most had never played soccer in the rain.
And that's the very latest from the Mount Lofty Sports Desk. Thank you, Craig.
See you tomorrow, Costo. Chrissy Ferris has the weather details after the break, and Japanese-styled puppeteers bring Peter and the Wolf alive.
Tonight on Win, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Then at 8:30, Space Adventure with Star Trek Voyager, followed by Central Park West.
This week, Target is taking 20% off the marked price of all ladies' underwear. Bras, corsetry, men's and kids' underwear, plus no deposit lay-by. But hurry, before our prices snap back.
Ouch! This is my husband of 42 years. So now you know my reason for having Suncorp CTP.
This year's Garden Fest features a spectacular range of new plants and dazzling orchid and flower shows. Meet the experts Ross McKinnon from Burke's Backyard and Malcolm Campbell from Gardening Australia. Garden Fest May long weekend, Toowoomba Showgrounds, proudly supported by Country Bake, Greenwich Botanicals and Win Television.
The choice you've been waiting for. Mitsubishi introduces Australia's newest 6. That choice is waiting for you at your Midwest Mitsubishi dealer. See it, touch it, drive it at Len Paddy Mitsubishi Toowoomba and Dalby, Lindenberg and Company Pittsworth, Graham Collins Mitsubishi Warwick, Ainsworth Motors Chinchilla, Dundas Mitsubishi Kingaroy, Mergen Mitsubishi and Tate Motors Gundawindi. Now, that's a feeling.
At Hayes, our expansion plans are hotting up, but not as much as our progressive sale. Tomorrow we reach a big 40S, 40% discount of everything in the store. Watches, jewellery, giftware, all 40% off at Hayes Jewellers Progressive Sale, putting real value back into Mother's Day.
Better Electrical discounted package deals. Just $10.99 Mitsubishi AB stereo televisions packaged with a free stand. $3.49 buys a better deal on Akai videos. Just $5.99 packages our Philips 7 CD player with this powerful mini system and Samsung's big screen TV with stereo hi-fi video plus free stand as a package not to miss. Better Electrical discounted package deals. Better.
Hello, welcome back to Win News. Today we're coming to you from the Rael Accessory Gift Shop in Toowoomba, and we're going to bring you some Mother's Day ideas. Here's a terrific idea for those people who, like me, tend to lose their jewellery. They're magnetic bracelets. And once you've finished wearing them, you can of course pop them on the fridge or anywhere else and you know where they are. They're also very good, I'm told, for arthritis sufferers. Another suggestion are these little figurines. They're actually little karate choppers, and I think they're going to be the next craze following fairies for people who are looking for ornaments. So a couple of suggestions there. We'll bring you more in a moment, but first here's the weather. The best rainfalls have been on the Western Downs and Maranoa. Flinton topped with 18 millimetres, Meandara had 12. To the temperatures, the top 20 degrees in Dalby, the lowest 11 in Stanthorpe. To the surface charts, now there's a high east of Sydney pushing fresh, gusty easterly winds over the Downs. East of that inland trough, very moist easterly air is feeding into an upper trough, and that's producing widespread cloud and rain. Ahead, a similar situation. The low off Townsville will help feed northeast to easterly winds into the upper low, bringing widespread rain tomorrow. Darling Downs and Granite Belt are the forecasts. Rain, some moderate to heavy falls. Wide Bay and Burnett, moderate to heavy falls. Toowoomba, cool, cloudy with rain periods. Sunrise 6:18, sunset 5:22, and tonight's wind weather watcher is Tony Marie Lund from Toowoomba. Craig, just a couple of ideas before we go. If mum's into new age things, some nice peach kernel massage oil might just do the trick. And then we have this homemade wind mobile comprising donkeys and elephants. Really very cute.
Some good ideas there. Thanks, Chrissy. Well, Murphy's Creek Primary School students were today treated to an innovative rendition of the classic fable Peter and the Wolf. The Queensland Arts Council production began with a brief history of how the story was first composed before the puppeteers donned their black robes in the Japanese style of puppetry called bunraku. The handmade puppets danced to the tune of the haunting Russian score. The production tomorrow travels to Withcott State School and looked pretty popular. That's our news for the Darling Downs for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night at 6. From all of us here, good night.
This is National 9 News.
Exclusive pictures of the arrest of the Port Arthur gunman, Martin Bryant, charged with murder. Graffiti speaks the public's rage.
New federal parliament opens. Protesters rally against Pauline Hanson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The man blamed for the Port Arthur massacre, Martin Bryant, has been charged at a bedside court with 1